All right, folks, buckle up because today's episode is one for the books. Picture this. You're chasing your dream of becoming a firefighter. You are pouring every ounce of sweat and determination into the journey, but every time you get told no, it feels like a gut punch. Or imagine stepping into a firehouse as a rookie, excited to serve, only to find that the culture treats you like you've got to earn the right to even exist. Does this sound familiar? Well, if you've ever struggled with resilience in the hiring process, or if you've ever questioned the way rookies are treated in our firehouses, today's guest is the man you need to hear from. This isn't his first rodeo on the Keep the Promise podcast either. He brought the heat back in episodes 40 and 41. He's a Phoenix firefighter who doesn't just talk about fitness, he lives it, with a mission to bring inclusivity to firefighter health. Through his platform, Fire Athlete, he's helping out-of-shape firefighters take their first steps towards healthier lives without judgment. And when it comes to first responder mental health, he's a passionate advocate for practical ways to tackle PTSD and thrive under pressure. Today, we're taking a look at his own grueling journey to becoming a firefighter and breaking down the culture of hazing and toxic toughness that some rookies face. He's got lessons, laughs, and a no-bullshit approach that will leave you fired up and ready to rethink what resilience and leadership truly mean in the fire service. So, without further ado, let's welcome back the man, the firefighter who's all about keeping the promise, Joff Fierro.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
So, my boy, my fellow meme lord, shit poster, the man who answers my most unhinged messages at all hours of the night, Joff, welcome back.
No, dude, I'm here for it. Thanks for having me again, dude.
I appreciate you doing this. You were a guest on episodes, I think it was 40 and 41, where we talked about inclusion when it comes to fire service fitness, and we went off on a couple tangents about the hiring process and how rookies get treated, which is what got the most traction on social media. So we are here to really take a deep dive into those two topics because I like your take on it. I like what you have said about it in the past, and I really want to tease out some more information too. So our big two overarching themes, ladies and gentlemen, for today, as you're tuning in, we're going to talk about the fire service hiring process, and we are also going to talk about the culture of rookies, or booters, as our fellow brothers and sisters call them in the Phoenix Fire Department. So before we get started on that, for those who may just be tuning into whatever 50-some episode number this is going to be, give us a little rundown about who you are, your life, where you are, and how you ended up there.
So Jonathan, Joff Fierro, for those of you that don't know me, happy to be back. Thanks for having me again. Just a heads up. Yeah, dude, been a member of the fire department for coming up on 6 years now. Green as you can be, right?
There's nothing engineer. Green in Phoenix, bro.
You say that.
It's all desert.
But the 400 new firefighters that we have under tend to, I guess, beg to differ a little bit. That, dude, there's a lot of new people out there. We are a young department, and I'm excited to see where it takes us. But yeah, just a lot of green. We got to get these people trained up. We got to get them, just, I don't even know the word for it. We just got to get everybody under the same mindset.
Which I feel that you guys do pretty well. The at least what I got from the last conversation we had, your culture is pretty strong, and it's rooted in a solid foundation that goes back many, many years. And I mean, like, there's been, I want to say greats coming out of Phoenix. There's been very important figures coming out of Phoenix. Love him or hate him, Brunacini, and the whole blue card thing, which,
yeah,
big hater of blue card, but that's because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. But
I mean, it works for us.
I was going to say, it works for you guys. We tried it a couple times, and, you're having a ladder truck pull a line and go do fire attack, and you're like, what the? I'm so confused as to what the hell's happening here. I
don't think that works.
Yeah, no, like I'm kind of lost. But okay, so I derailed you immediately. So you're an engineer now, huh?
No, I am. I've been driving. Well, I've been driving for about 2 years now. Officially made for a year. Officially made for 6 months. But I got my qualified engineer certification right before that, and just started getting all that time on the road under my belt. Started pumping fires and pulling hand lines and helping where I can. But yeah, dude, I'm absolutely loving the engineer life. Not because of all the engineer things that come with it, but dude, I love driving.
Mm-hmm.
I love I love figuring out what's wrong with my truck when I show up for shift in the morning, and then literally wandering through people's houses looking at their knickknacks while everyone else does the patient assessment.
Yeah, that was my favorite. There were times that
Yeah.
I remember one time I was freezing cold out. It was like 2 a.m. We had gotten beat. I'm like, you know what? Call me if you need me. I'm going to sit here by the engine and take a nap if you guys need anything. And I woke up when the doors closed. So like, I am the worst fucking guy because I didn't even help the crew, but whatever. It was a nursing home. So are you...
Dude, it was... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
When I had first started driving, I was roving around for about a year. I want to say a year and a half before I just got my spot. And I'm one of those guys that I want to have like hands on the patient. I want to be part of the assessment. I want to be doing something. Hey, give me the sugar kit. Give me the IV kit. I'll get that set up. I don't care what it is. I'll press the freaking blood pressure monitor buttons as many times as you need me to do. Just give me a job. Let me do something. I don't want to feel useless. So when I started roving around, a lot of the captains out there, the drivers, the engineers they're the watchmen. They're the guys that listen to the radio. They stand back. They go get the rescue or the ambo when needed. And like, it took me a couple months to get used to that because some of the guys, like some of the captains I was working with were like, yo, like, don't touch a patient, dude. Like, listen to the radio. You're that guy now. And I'm like, that doesn't compute. I need to help. And they're like, no. Like, let the medics work. Let the guys that need to work. You're supposed to be doing this thing. And then every once in a while, some guys will look at you weird and be like, why aren't you helping? And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, hold on. But yeah, dude, I just different world.
Totally different world. I found myself being the gopher. Just sitting, like, if they were working a patient upstairs, I'd be, like, in the middle of the stairs just listening to see what they needed. And if I caught whiff, I'm like, okay, I heard something about a Reeves, or I heard something about, like, before anybody could turn around, I'd be bolting out the door to try to grab the shit that they needed. But yeah, it's it's a whole different mindset. And I feel the pain of trying to figure out on a daily what the hell is wrong with your unit, depending on who you relieve.
Yeah.
Like, are you, what shift are you again? Don't tell me you're a B shift. You're a
B.
God damn it. No.
Through and through.
I am surrounded. Ugh.
Dude, raised by the C shifters, body of an A shifter, mind of a B shifter. That's how it works.
I mean, the way that you act, I can see why you're raised by the C shifters. It's so funny how across every culture, every department, C shift is just unhinged. And
yeah, that's one way of putting it.
God, when I was in special operations, those guys would do the most random ass shit. And I would walk in at 4 a.m. to try to get a workout in. And there were a couple of times that because we were the hazmat station as well, every meter, not just like the regular air monitor, but like every single chem biometer was going off. And I remember I opened the door. I'm like, am I going to walk into a shift full of dead people? Like, why are all these things going on?
Oh, no.
And when they finally woke up and we talked, they're like, yeah, we accidentally made chlorine and kind of like overranged a few of the meters. I'm like, accidentally? Last week you accidentally made shake and bake meth and blew yourselves up. What the fuck? I want to transfer to you guys.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're okay.
Oh, no, dude. Those, I mean, they're absolute lunatics, but they can be because they know what they're doing. So you cannot become a crazy sea shifter making chlorine and shake and bake meth at the special ops station without first getting hired. And that's the journey that we want to talk about. So you touched on it before on the previous episode, but walk through that journey again. Tell me your story of what it took you to get hired, how long it took you, because you are one of those who faced a couple setbacks, even though you were checking every box and you just didn't stop? Real quick before we jump back in. Firefighters don't leave each other behind. We look out for our own. Right now, there's a firefighter out there, maybe a rookie, maybe a seasoned veteran, who needs this podcast. They need the lessons, the mindset, and the training tips. But they'll never get them unless you help them. Here's how you can help right now. On Apple Podcasts, tap the 5 stars, then scroll down and write just a few words about what the show has done for you. On Spotify, tap the 3 dots, select Rate Show, and drop your rating. It takes less than 60 seconds, it costs you nothing, and it helps one more firefighter get better, stronger, and more prepared. We look out for each other. This is one small way that you can pay it forward. All right, back to the show.
Yeah. 5 years to get hired. Bopped around from crew to crew, trying to figure out, was told to go in a lot, but listening to my mentors sort of deal. Like I said, started doing ride-alongs, with my mentor. And, one day we go to, I believe it was Wells Fargo, and, we were looking at FDC connections on the building, and my mentor is like, "Do you know what this is?" "No, it's cool though." I'm like, "I'm happy to be here. Like, let's go hike the stairs." And he's like, "Yeah, you need to go to a Firefighter 1 and 2 program, which is our, academy before the academy, where you go to learn things." It's not required. Some smaller cities in Arizona, and I think a couple other states kind of require that, because it's basically, you getting certified as a firefighter in the state of Arizona. So went and did that. That kicked my butt. I got to learn what, firefighter fitness kind of really looked like. And I remember, dude, like one of the first weeks after, it's 3 days a week, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and all day Saturday. And, we do the occasional workout, I think on like Wednesdays. And with Phoenix, that's kind of like it can be a pipeline towards, becoming a firefighter, because we have a lot of firefighters down there doing those, like being proctors for those tests and whatnot. So they see you work down there working hard, you start riding along in Phoenix, and, they make the connection, and all of a sudden like, "Hey, yeah, this guy's good. He works out. He does his job, keeps his mouth shut," that sort of deal. He'll do good in the interviews. One of the first weeks after we're doing like firefighter workouts, and I'm getting in turnouts for the first time, my wife and I go to dinner. She was my, girlfriend, fiance, somewhere around that point. And I'm like, "This is really hard." She's like, "Dude, you better buck the fuck up. 'Cause like, if you want to do this, like, that's not going to work." And I was like, "God damn, you're right." My wife came from a world of tough love, like, suck it up, buttercup, like, you're going to be okay sort of deal. And I came from, hey, it's okay if you quit softball. Hey, it's okay if you quit soccer and basketball. We'll figure out the next thing for you. And don't get me wrong. Loved my mom. Still love my mom. Very coddled. Very like, "Well, you don't like this, so let's figure this out. And let's figure this out. And let's figure this out." And when you get to the fire service, you learn very quickly that they're like, "Suck it up, buttercup. You better figure it the fuck out real quick." And my wife knew that because she was raised by her dad. And dude, like, let me tell you, you either learn to adapt and you say, "Okay, this is how this works. I'm going to do this," or you don't. And it's going to be a world of hurt until you either give up or finally get hired, and then nobody really likes you very much because you're the guy who's always, or the guy or girl who's always like, "Well, this is hard. How do I get this done?" And everyone's like, "I don't fucking know. Figure it out." You know what I mean?
So you started at the pre-academy academy.
Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No, that was it. The Fire 1 and 2, kind of went from there. Took me 3 years after the 1 and 2, to really figure out like the culture and the interview style that Phoenix wants. And it was just life lesson after life lesson. My first go around, I tested for Phoenix 3 times, and then multiple other cities, which were all hilarious stories. But my first go around with Phoenix, there's two interviews, the captain's interview and the chief's interview. And I passed. I got on to my second interview every time I tested. And I was told that I had a great first round interview, but like those first 2 second round interviews, my first one, dude, I would have done better if I had just thrown up on the desk in front of the chiefs and just left. Like, I talked in circles. I was nervous. I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. I had never done an interview like that. And I thought that I basically had to reinvent the wheel to tell them what they wanted to hear. Not the case. My second time going through my second round interview, the chief that was on that board, that was somebody who helped me significantly throughout this process, because it was the biggest kick in the pants I'd ever gotten, looking back on it. I came off too cocky. I came off too confident. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, well, I couldn't talk last time. And this time, I guess I talked too much. Like, I said too many things, and it came off as like I don't know. I was too cocky. And I went to go see that chief, and she was like, yeah, that was the worst interview I've ever heard. And I remember sitting in her office, dude, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, what? Yeah. She goes, yeah, you need to figure it the fuck out. And I was like, oh, okay. And, took that for what it was worth and kept working. And my third round, dude, I remember my second round interview with Phoenix. I remember thinking, like, I wasn't completely at the point. This was 5 years in, mind you. I wasn't completely at the point where I was like, this is the last one. This is it. I hadn't given up, because I knew in my mind, in my heart, that I was going to come back. This is what I wanted to do. It was there. But I was still like, fuck, what did I do wrong? And it took getting sent to another mentor and figuring out how that interview clicks with my style of interviewing, where I went and I was relaxed and I talked and I said how badly I wanted to be here and how hard I was going to work for it and how hard I had worked for it and all the other things that Phoenix wants to hear in their interview. And I got that fucking call, dude. And you'll never forget that day. You will never, ever, dude. I get goosebumps still thinking about it, because I was at my job, where I was an Oregon transportation director manager or something like that. I can't remember the title, but I'm sitting there typing in a flight for these surgeons to go pick up a heart in California. And Chief Ong calls me. He goes, hey, is this Jonathan Fierro? And I'm like, you're fucking right, it is, dude. Yeah, like, yes, sir. And dude, oh my God, like, just that. He goes, hey, 2 things. Don't get in trouble. Don't quit your job. And I think there was like don't be a problem or something like that. And I was like, done, easy. Nothing I could do right now would ever screw this up. And it's like one of those things. I know I didn't have a background. I know I didn't have anything that was going to keep me health wise. And I was like, this is it. I did it, dude. And my first person I called, my wife and my father-in-law, amongst other people, had been with me through this entire process, right? I called my middle brother first before anybody else. And I don't know why. I just remember, because he would always stuck with me through, like, you'll get it, dude. You'll get it. And I was like, dude, I basically cried. I was like, dude, I got it. I fucking got it. And he was like, hell yeah, dude. And then I called my wife, and then I called Tim, my father-in-law, who already knew. He was in the know. And yeah. And then now I'm here 6 years later.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What kept you motivated? Because it's so easy to reach that point, like you mentioned, to be coddled and say, fuck it, it's not for me. It's the easy path, right? It takes a lot of work to get to the second round interview. And for you to have to go through those multiple times, was there, were you shouting affirmations in the mirror about how you were going to get hired? Were you journaling?
No.
Or was it this just like, I'm on this path, I'm not going to stop until I get there? Like, how did you keep yourself on that grind?
So I truly believe that having something to work for is doing it for yourself is one thing, right? Like I in my heart of hearts, I wanted to become a firefighter. I knew that this was the field that I needed to be in because I cannot sit at a desk. I can't do math. I can't build rockets. I can't fucking have people scream at me over the phone while I'm trying to sell them, you know, whatever it is at a call center. I can't do it. I am a person who needs to be out and about, working with their hands, doing dirty work, working hard and coming home and then doing it every third day for the rest of my fucking life. That kept me going. But before I met my wife, dude, she likes to say this and she and I have this lingo that a lot of people don't understand, but it's fucking, she likes to say in front of people, she goes, "You were a fucking loser before you met me." And I'm like, that's mean, but she's not wrong. Like, she's not wrong. I didn't have any purpose. I didn't have any direction. I didn't have anybody to work for. And I know how that sounds. I wasn't working for my girlfriend, my fiance, my wife. I was working towards building a better future to where I could give something to this relationship. My wife, bless her freaking parents, because they're the coolest parents on earth, the awesome in-laws. They allowed her to stay at home while she went through college. And like, as long as she had a job, like a little side job, working at Target or doing whatever, they were going to help her pay for, her car and her rent while she worked to get a great job and a great education. Didn't have that opportunity. You know what I mean? So when I'm 19, I leave home. I'm like, hey, I got to figure it the fuck out. So I go from job to job to job, trying to figure out where I'm going, what I want to do. And then you meet somebody who gives everything and sacrifices everything for you. And dude, all I've got to tell you is that when they go all in on you, you better make sure they fucking win. You know what I mean? And that's to me that was my goal. My end goal was to be like, I did this so that you and I can be like, we can live the life that we want. Because I want to be able to provide for you. I want to be able to provide for myself and our life and so on and so forth. But that she was my driving force. I know, dude, it's crazy because a lot of people, I feel like, and there's nothing wrong with this. A lot of the people that get on here are like, I became a firefighter for me. And I did. I became a firefighter for me as well. But there were other factors there. I needed to prove to myself that I was capable of doing this. I needed to prove to my wife that I was capable of doing this and not giving up like I had on everything else in my life, because I was always told that, hey, it's going to be okay. We'll figure it out the next step. We'll figure it out with this and that and the other thing. Dude, that's how you create people who are just like, well, this isn't working. So now what do I do? Somebody needs to give me this next opportunity. Nobody needs to give you shit. Nobody owes you a fucking thing. You have to go out and earn it like everyone else on this earth. And that's just resonates so deeply with me after, hindsight's 2020. But like looking back on all that stuff, dude, it's like, fuck. Like, what a process. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. Absolutely crazy. And I love, I guess we can call it an external motivator with your wife being that person, but having had a similar life where I could do the same thing. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. And my parents are like, okay, it's fine. In a very fucked up way, you let yourself down so many times by doing those things that it takes that outside force to kind of smack you around a couple times and be like, hey, you need to figure it out. And then when you finally click and you say, you know what? maybe I've let myself down in the past, but for this one person, today, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give it my all. Those are life-changing people.
Dude, and I think one of the harder parts was like getting told no on that second go round and having to go and tell my loved ones, because they all know that you're trying to get hired and go through the process. So everyone's all excited and like, hey, you're going to get it. And you're like, sorry guys, another year and a half. I gotta wait until the next process.
How did you handle that?
The first time I didn't handle it well, because I was like, well, fuck, what did I do wrong? And like that whole like, woe is me mentality for a little bit. And then you start riding along more and you start figuring out, and your wife gets disappointed in you, and your father-in-law gives you a fucking earful, and your brother's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing wrong? I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then you go, oh, I'm the problem. My mindset is the problem. My whole view on how this works is the problem. I'm not working hard enough. I thought I was working hard enough because of how I was raised and what I was given and all the things that were just handed to me over and over and over again until I just figured it out. But like, dude, it literally takes so much deep diving into yourself. This process, just like, don't get me wrong, there's the people that get hired first try because they fucking know. Yes, good. They knew. You guys knew how to do it and what to say and how to work the first try. If I could have done that, I would have been ecstatic. But I needed this life lesson. This was my lore that I needed, you know? Like
your origin story.
Yeah.
Your villain arc.
I needed this self-growth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the topic of hard work and not knowing what it is, because I don't feel that most of us do. And this is coming from, again, same thought process that you had. Oh, I know what hard work is like. I've done it before. You know, and you're switching out a ladder truck at 2 a.m. in 20-degree weather because the thing broke down, and there's nothing but you and the work ahead of you and moving all that shit because you got to get back in service. Or, you know, it's for you guys 1,000 degrees out in the summer and you got to go to a fire, and then you got to clean up everything and then get ready for the other one. So
yep.
Somebody who's going through the same process as you are, somebody who's facing those same rejections with the lens of hard work, what advice do you have for them?
So don't let your ego get in the way. Rejection only works if you're willing to accept what these people are telling you. You know what I mean? Like, because I could have taken, hey, this is the worst interview I've ever heard, and been like, nuh-uh. It was a really good fucking interview. I don't even know what you're talking about, person with 20 years on. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's not how life works. Like, yeah, there's bad rejection out there, but like, if people are only trying to help you, you need to listen with both ears, not in one ear, out the other. And that's kind of what I was doing in that first go around. Like, I was like, no, like my story worked. Like I did what I was supposed to do. And then you try that the second time and they're like, hey, that didn't work the first time, you fucking idiot. Like that was bad. That was worse actually. And you go, shoot. And then you go, okay, I'm doing something wrong. I need to get in the mindset that they need me to be in, that I need to be in, so that I can be here and doing my dream job. So ego is a huge thing here. Like, don't let it get in your way. It doesn't exist in this process. It shouldn't exist in this process. Yeah, if there's people out there that are trying to, like, you know, keep you from this job, I don't think that's an actual thing. Like, but like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But dude, like, listen with both ears, be a sponge for all the information, find your story and how it works for you, how it works for the fire department, and how you plan to make that work for the next 25 years of your career. Are you going to be a good person? And are you going to be a good employee? Can we trust you? That's it. That's what you need to figure out. And that's how you have to, give back this information. I'm this person. This is how I plan to be this person on the department. This is how I plan to do this and be this person for the next 25 years. And they're like, cool, you figured it out. Congratulations. And then fucking streamers, dude. And everybody's happy and there's balloons. There's a cake, dude. People are popping out of cakes. It's wild.
Are they naked popping out of cakes? Was it Mason coming out of a cake? Is that how you met him?
No, there's HR people in that room.
Oh, shit.
They can't have naked people.
Or Mason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. On that cocky interview, what exactly did you say? How did it come across? Because it's easy for
I don't know.
For most of us. Okay, so how did you nail the third one? Because my thought process is you would go back and say, these are all the things that I said. Let me look at it through the lens of the Phoenix Fire Department and say, was it right? Was it wrong? What did they expect? What did they not expect? Or like, what is it that you bomb? Because that's the part that I'm curious. Most of us can easily bomb an interview like you did on the first go around, where you're just kind of like meek and you're shy and you talk in circles and you get nervous, palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti, the whole 9 yards.
All of it.
And for you to basically swing that pendulum the complete opposite way, I'm so curious as to what went down. Like, did you come in and like take the chief's papers off the desk and like, sup, motherfucker, hire me?
No, I don't think it was that. Like, at least I didn't see it that way. Like, the people across the table from me could have seen it completely different. You know what I mean? And that's how we try to, like, the guys that show up, the guys and girls that show up to our stations now that, go on ride-alongs and want to work with us, and they say, hey, I want to be a firefighter someday. We go, hey, you need to figure out how to say things in a very neutral way, because you don't know who you're sitting across the table from that day, what mood they're in, if they had a good lunch, if they slept well the night before, if they believe in God or not, like that sort of deal. You know what I mean? So like, you can walk in there and be like, hey, I'm Joff and I want to be a Phoenix firefighter, and here's all the reasons why. And they can be like, did you hear that cocky motherfucker? And everyone's like, yeah, I heard it too. Fuck him. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that's not how it went out. I'm sure that I went in there and I smirked too many times, or I said it in a certain way because I didn't hear my tone very well. Like,
not you.
No, absolutely not. What? It's the guy who can't read his tone and his facial expressions 98% of the fucking time. That's why I probably pissed so many people off. Dude, I probably just came in there too hot, and I left, and I shook everyone's hand and I smiled, and I remember my closing statement because it was upstairs at the training academy, and I had heard something while I was doing my interview work that I utilized while I was in my second round interview, because they always ask you to give a closing statement. Do you have anything left to say if you have time? And I turned around and I was like, hey, that's where I want to be right now. I want to be out there showing you guys that I can do this job, and I want to be doing the hard work and working with, the best crew that I can. And I appreciate your guys' time and you being here. And I hope to get a call from you. And then you get the response that you're like, that was fucking awful. And I'm like, shit. What did I do? What did I do wrong? And then you learn. And obviously that person who gave me that advice wasn't just going to tell me I was terrible. She gave me all the reasons why it was terrible, including the cocky part. And I went, noted. Okay, here we go. I'll see you next time.
That's a spirit. That's a spirit. And it's funny that you mentioned those factors affecting your interviewers, because most of us go in there thinking, hey, they're going to be ready to listen to all my stuff and super excited to be there. We got the chance to do a lot of interviews. There was a period where you could actually pick up overtime helping interview people. And
nice.
It was exhausting because you'd be there for 8 hours listening to the same rehearsed story. Like, if I hear one more person say, I just want to help my community, I'm going to jump out of a window, because like, give me something better. Like you mentioned before, give me creativity, give me insanity, give me some sort of soul. But also, you don't know how they're feeling. There was one time that I'm sitting there for 8 hours, lethally hungover, because the day before we all finished interviews and we went across the street to our favorite bar, Pub Dog, and just got completely obliterated, crashed to somebody's house nearby, you know, got the uniforms ironed up and everything, and then showed up to interview the following day, still reeking of Maker's Mark and beer, and being like, dude, just like, tell me you're not going to slit my throat in my sleep and that you're actually going to work hard in the academy and I'll fucking hire you. Like, Jesus Christ.
Are you going to be an okay guy? Yeah, all right, cool.
Like, and we had a couple that were phenomenal in awful ways and phenomenal in great ways. Like this, a couple people like admitted to crimes, just like openly talked about, like we're whispering to each other, like, should we like call the cops and have them on standby, like on their way out? Some dude basically said somebody at his previous job pissed him off, so he got him fired, and he really enjoyed that. We're like, sweet Jesus. Like, man, dude,
fuck.
Can you please walk away? And then there's one that's always going to stick in my mind. She didn't take the job because I'm sure she went on to do incredible things. Like her resume read like the who's who of just hard work, like everything that your underdog story, from like a poor family, worked her ass off, went to school, all that stuff. But the one stuff that stuck with me, the one story, is how she accidentally, because of a process issue that she fucked up, she got another employee terminated. And when she realized, like, oh, that was my fault, literally advocated for that terminated employee, went to her boss and said, hey, listen, this was me. This is how the process led to this employee making that mistake for which you shit-canned them. This is how we need to change the process. Can we bring that person back? And they did. And like the fact that somebody was able to say, it was my fault, I'm ready to take the fall, pretty much set her apart immediately.
Oh, that's one, awesome. But also you just broke up a little bit.
Did you hear everything?
You paused for a second.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, I did. Pretty sure I heard everything. You just paused.
It's fine. The tubes are clogged between here and Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, what a great way to say, hey, I've dealt with adversity before, and I was the problem, and I admitted to it and tried to get that person to come back. Like, that's a great story, which is what we try to tell people when they're going through their process. Is like, firefighters are so fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, there is so many smart people on this job, but like, firefighters are like, oh, good story. Like a good story. This is a good story. And like, you can listen to that because like you said, dude, you're sitting there for 8 hours and don't get me wrong. I haven't been a part of the interview hiring process on the side of, you know, actually listening to, recruits and whatnot. Love to do that someday. It's kind of a steep process to get to that point because, you know, the people with lots of seniority, a lot of good dudes and gals trying to get good people hired though.
Yeah.
But they're people. They're sitting there for 8 hours a day listening to the same exact story and person, just in a different outfit, saying, I have my EMT and I have my fire 1 and 2, and I went on a ride along once and I saw a guy get his blood sugar taken. And that's how I knew I wanted to be a firefighter. Thank you. And like, you have to have something different. You know what I mean? To make people be like, hey, do you remember the guy who had the story about how his grandmother passed away and the fire department came to try and save her and it didn't work out. But like at that current point in time in his life, he needed to have some sort of like divine intervention. And that's why he wanted to become a firefighter. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember that story. I remember. Yeah. That guy needs to move on to the next round. Let's see if he can fucking pull it out for the next round. You know what I mean? But like the hiring process is just, it's so wild, dude. Like you either get it or you don't.
And I think the more times that you do it, just like you've shown, the more you're going to be able to get bits and pieces on how to get it. Because again, some of us got lucky on the first try, right? The first try Fridays. And
first try Fridays, baby.
And that's fine. But life doesn't work that way. So sometimes you just get absolutely lucky. But if you want to be good at something, you have to do it so many times that you almost become just bored of it, right? How do the greats become great? They do something so many times that to them it's muscle memory, or it's just another routine. Be it professional athletes, be it like the good firefighters. You're like, well, that motherfucker pulled that line and it was the most like beautiful choreography of everything. And he's like, I don't remember what I did. I just, the fire, pulled the line, got there, fires out. And you're like, oh, you've done this a time or 500.
Yeah.
And it's important.
And dude, don't forget, you can still do this 1,000 times and still get the same result, because what's the definition of insanity?
Right.
Doing something the exact same way over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you're not willing to change something about what you're doing wrong, you're going to keep getting the same result. You're not going to get higher. What a fucking concept.
And you know what? I hesitate to even bring this up because you and I have talked about it. There's a guy who always jumps into the comments on, especially your reel about getting hired. Ladder Life. I think he's out of South Florida.
Yeah.
I think I get the vibe that he's out of South Florida, or he mentioned it, or I crept on him. I don't remember. Anyway, but my man is in the comments slinging, I don't want to say hate, but he is not popular. Now, some things I do agree with, but like he pretty much in much more colorful language puts it the way that you put it. If you are trying 1,000 times and you're not getting the results, maybe it's not the system. And maybe you need somebody like Ladder Life, or maybe you need somebody like your wife or your father-in-law to be like, hey, fuckhead, how many data points have you taken by doing the same thing? Why don't you change a couple of things? Again, not shitting on people, because some of us got ridiculously lucky on the first go around. But when we go through those...
See, I don't think it's luck. And I don't get me wrong. I'm sure that there's a handful of people out there across the United States that have gotten lucky a few times. You know what I mean? But like, I fucking hate that word. Yes, the stars aligned for you that day, right? But
my interviewer
did you do your due diligence? Did you do your due diligence? Did you prepare for the job? Were you physically fit and ready? And did you have everything, all your ducks in a line to say, hey, this is who I am. Hire me. That's not fucking luck. I did what I needed to do. I listened right the first time. And they go, hey, this guy gets it. He did it. Good job, first try. High five. Like, that's a couple of the dudes in my academy were like, yeah, dude, you probably hate me. I got hired first try. And I tell people, I'm like, it took me 5 years. I'm like, why would I hate you? You figured it out. You did a good job. Like, there's no luck. It's only hard work. I don't know. That's just me. I apologize for interrupting you.
No, it's fine. And that leads us to the next question, because we can sit here and talk about luck or preparedness, but we need some actionable steps to get there. So what do you have for those people who are struggling, who might be on their 5th, 6th, 7th, or however many attempts, the people who are catching shit from Ladder Life? What actionable steps do you give them? If you were to say like maybe 5 things to get these things, like you said, like maybe the stars are aligned, but maybe you did a couple of things. Walk me through those actionable steps to get hired.
Oh man, that's so hard, because it's not. And that's kind of one of these things that I wanted to talk to you about with this podcast specifically, because everybody has a different area from where they come from life, right? So what's hard work to somebody else could be seen as, a fucking walk in the park for people who have been through the ringer in their lives, and vice versa. And being prepared for this job, everybody talks about the standard, right? The standard that we placate to on a day-to-day basis. And to those people that spout, well, the standard, I say, what's the fucking standard, dude? What is it? Where is the standard written down? What is the line in the sand? And if you meet that criteria, then you're there. You know what I mean? Like you knew how to interview. You're physically and mentally prepared for this job, and you're ready to work for the next year and a half. You work your butt off as a probie or a booter, and then be a firefighter after you graduate probation. The end. You did it. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that mindset of like, well, the standard. And it's like, I get that. I'm right there with you, brother, sister. The standard. Yes, absolutely. What is it? So with that being said, make sure you are physically and mentally prepared for this job. This is not an easy job. And like, I get it's funny because going back and listening to the podcast that we did last time, a lot of the things that, specifically I said could come off as like, yeah, we're trying to placate to these people that aren't ready for the job. And that's not the case. It's, hey, we see that you're not ready. Let's get you ready. And then let's get you on the department that you want. Let's get you tuned up in that interview so that you sound rehearsed. That you don't sound like a robot, that you sound ready to go in that interview. So physically and mentally prepared. Going on ride-alongs. Practicing your fucking interview. If you go into this interview and you don't know how to interview, or you don't know what that city wants you to say because one, you've never done a ride-along because you don't know the culture, you don't know the way that these people work. Like, that's your own fault. So start going on ride-alongs. If you don't know how the fire department works, maybe go take a Firefighter 1 and 2 program. Maybe that's going to get you put in the right direction. You're going to start learning the terms for things, the slang for things. Like, you're going to start learning how the department works and how they pull lines and what they call fire hydrants and this, that, and the other thing. Do everything that you can to get yourself in this mindset to, I'm going to do one of the hardest, best jobs on the world, in the world, and understand that the job's not meant for everybody. You know what I mean? We had a conversation like this the other day, and I get so fucking sidetracked. I'm sorry.
I love it.
We had a conversation like this the other day on the podcast where I was talking about how I've been, having the conversation with people recently about how, the kids today don't want to work. They don't want to blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. Nobody knows what hard work is anymore. And I go, there's a different definition of what hard work is. And it's this. People think that they can pick this phone up and become a superstar overnight. The children are seeing that. Teenagers are seeing that. And young adults are seeing that because they grew up in this technology age where you can become a streamer playing video games and make millions of dollars doing it. So it's a different definition of what hard work is. And Chris, who's the co-host on the podcast, went, well, yeah, but there's a significant amount of life lessons that you can't learn on this. And I said, yes. And that's the parents' problem. That is the parents' issue where they go, hey, we need to teach you all of these things and hopefully point you in the right direction. And don't get me wrong. I don't have kids. I don't know how hard that is. I don't give them iPad time. But like, dude, hard work is there's a different definition of it now. And it's up to us to help these people learn what that is. Because if we're going to keep getting these Gen Z people that are going to be trying to get hired, they need to understand what this job is truly about. And like, when the whole like departments started getting on Instagram and TikTok and, Facebook, and we're like, hey, like, come work for us, like the fucking doing the dances and stuff. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's so cringy. They're trying to get to the mindset of these different age groups. We need to figure out some way to make this job look interesting to Gen Z and Gen Alpha and Gen Beta. What a name.
Yeah.
Like we have to figure that out. You know what I mean? And we have to teach them what hard work is and what this job is about. Otherwise, the culture is gone. The department's going to be a completely different thing in the next 20 years.